What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at DataDash, and today is May 12th of 2021. Well, folks, I hope y'all are having a fantastic day wherever you are. And in today's video, I want to cut straight to the chase talking about three key things. Not getting caught in the emotional cycles of the market as we recently had a correction, talking about what is the most critical thing you can do in order to make sure you're positioning yourself properly during the altcoin cycle. And last but not least, where are we within the altcoin cycle and how much further do we have to go? Now, to also answer probably the question that I didn't bring up there, where am I? As you can probably tell from the background. And I'd love to say that I'm traveling somewhere across the world and living a lavish lifestyle, but to be frank, I'm currently in your kitchen. And the reason why is because I put all my money in crypto and I can't afford rent anymore. All right, guys, let's go ahead and kick right off into the video here. Taking a look here over the last 24 hours, we can see here that the broader cryptocurrency market is in the green, whether we're taking a look at the large cap plays, the leaders in the market, or we're taking a look across the board in the crypto market. Most crypto plays here in upper single digit territory and many in double digit territory following the recent pullback we had over the last 2 days. So I want to go ahead and spend some time here to not focus so much right yet on the direct altcoins that we're going to be chatting about and some of the setups that I've watched in the market. But again, just really hit on the point here that markets have pretty much rebounded right back to where they were. We're pretty much back to all-time highs in market valuation, both for altcoins and for Bitcoin. Markets are up over 6.69% over the last 24 hours, a really solid single-day recovery across the board. And this is something that I want to spend some time to discuss, right? As we can see here on Ethereum, we're up 2.34% for today. And for the week here, we're up nearly 12% after having multitudes of green weeks here, following all the way back here into the end of March. So on a week-by-week basis, you'd be beneficial by just simply holding Ethereum versus Bitcoin or not having any exposure to Ethereum, right? Just letting it do its thing, letting the market ride. And what I want to focus on here is that, a lot of people will be kind of shocked considering the sell-off we had the other day. Like, Nick, how can we be in the green? Well, let's just go ahead and take a look at the daily chart here, right, for Ethereum. And you notice there's no red days in price. That's interesting because there was a sell-off the other day that, again, everyone was telling me was the point I needed to take profit, that, oh my gosh, ETH is way too overextended at $4,000. I need to take profits, right? Like in FOMO, or basically FUD out in this case, like just get out of my position immediately. Let's take a look at the hourly here. Now we can start to see that big sell-off everyone was talking about. The one that went a couple 100,000 Satoshis down and then shortly after recovered within less than a day. Guys, the one thing I want to spend some time to really drill in here, and it's going to be important during this altcoin cycle, is that you have to know how to stomach these small 5, 10% corrections. And we can just go ahead and plot it here in the chart, right? You could take it here at the worst case scenario where the wicks came down here 8%, came down to where it was just literally 2 days ago. Or you can take it here where we formalized a more solidified bottom, 5 to 6%. And we're right back to new relative highs for this cycle, or all-time highs for this cycle. You can't let the emotional waves of these pullbacks get you. And the thing that I always do, what I've done here is I first position myself with my assets in a way where I'm already thinking long-term, so I'm earning interest on my assets. I'm doing things in that time period that can help to alleviate any corrections in the market and keep me focused on that long-term vision. But again, one of the best things you can do is stop watching the 5-minute chart and the hourly chart and take a look at the daily chart. Considering this to be a neutral day here on May 7th, we haven't had a real significant red day since April 30th. And any red day gets bought up very, very quickly here. So we've technically been on a near vertical uptrend for Ethereum against Bitcoin. Now, this is just Ethereum versus Bitcoin. You want to take a look at ETH USD, right? Go ahead and take a look at it, right? ETH USD here has just been going straight vertical here over the last couple weeks, going from around 2,200 to doubling here in the early mid part of May at around 4,400, right? ETH is killing it, guys. And I got to be honest, that the only problem I had in this case for my portfolio is I didn't have enough exposure to it. I mean, it's one of my larger assets, in this case, definitely in the top 3. But in regards to like how well it's performed, I mean, it's really obliterated against most altcoins. Most cryptos can't keep up with it. Now, the important thing to keep in mind here is to not get get caught two steps behind. And I probably have echoed that in the last few videos here. One of the things that I really want to drill that I think is important, really, really important for people to keep an eye on, is basically not getting caught two steps behind and knowing when we might be facing some resistance. We talked about this kind of midpoint line here from the lower band of the cycle to the kind of euphoric end of the cycle, right? Where this has really played a role as both resistance and also support in the past. And I have a feeling here we could be coming up on a point where we're going to be facing a bit of resistance here, probably somewhere around from where we are to around 8 million Satoshis or 0.08, right? And I'm not saying I'm going and selling all my position. I'm going to really see what Ethereum does. And I'm not going to try to time the top in this case. And this again goes to build on that point. We want to wait to see if our thesis here plays out, right? And if it does, if it starts to see some pretty steady resistance, and it probably won't just hit resistance and then sell off. It'll probably be about 2 or 3 days where ETH starts to stagnate, and that momentum starts to fade. In that case, if you see something like this, for example, we start to roll over out of a solid red candle on the close, we might want to consider recirculating into other places in the market. But you don't want to fight the trend, guys. You do not want to fight the trend. Wait for confirmation. Don't try to sell tops. It is one of the worst things you can do. Now, if you generally have, again, made life-changing returns on this rally on Ethereum, and you really don't want to invest in other cryptocurrencies, and you think that ETH's overvalued, you can take profits if you want. You can do that. But I don't like that idea of just simply going all out and stuff, because there's a ton of people who did that along the way, and they're now missing out. They're trying to invest in other altcoins. We're not at the point where we are ready for mid caps and small caps. We haven't seen the trend reversal yet. And that's the next point that I want to focus in on. Okay. As we come here towards the later phases of reaching this next point of historical resistance, and this doesn't have to be the peak for this altcoin cycle, right? We could peak here, we could peak here, we could peak much higher. But generally speaking, as we broke past these lines of resistance, which again is a really bullish setup for the most part, I would assume that the next point we're going to is around 60-61% in market dominance for altcoins. And possibly all the way up to a big even level, like around 63%, right? So excuse me, I would apologize in this case. I was thinking about something up to 66% if you were to get like something really optimistic where altcoins would garner 2/3 of the market, right? But again, we want to keep our estimations conservative here. And as we get in this later phase here, we are getting closer and closer to where there's a good chance where smaller mid-cap tokens finally start to steal center stage. Right? We start to see the money flow go back in the small mid-caps. But we haven't finished the large caps yet. There's still many plays that are starting to take off. So what are those plays that some of that liquidity could circulate from Ethereum? Right? Well, one of those is Litecoin, and we talked about Litecoin the other day. Again, it's another large position of ours in this case. We're focusing on the large caps here. Again, not here to just promote one small cap coin and say this is the next big gem. No, guys, like I'm being realistic with you. I've got my money where my mouth is in the large caps because that's who's outpacing Bitcoin. That's who's leading the market, right? Now, the important thing to keep in mind is that Ethereum has by far out of the top 100 coins, which are really your safe bets, they're liquid, they're accessible for the vast majority of people. Ethereum has been leading. But what's important to look for next, if you're looking for a place to circulate your ETH profits from into the next player that could be the next leader in the market, or you missed out on the ETH rally and you're really being smart and thinking about what's the next major player going to be. What we have to look for here is how these altcoins that we're watching are performing against ETH. Now, I'll go ahead and say something very clearly. If you take a look at Litecoin here against ETH, right, this is a ratio of Litecoin to ETH. It's been in a general downtrend since April 2019. As ETH has, again, been killer in the sense of its performance against Bitcoin in the broader crypto market since back in September 2019. That's when we flipped bullish on altcoins, right? It's been on a downtrend here, right? But what's really important to note, if we take a look here, it's at the discount range against Ethereum here, historically speaking. We could take a look at charts.cointrader.pro, and we could start to see that long-term price history in Ethereum. It's at a major discount, but that's not why I'm interested. It's not why I'm interested. What I'm interested about is seeing whether or not Litecoin holds at the lows that it had against Ethereum back in February and sets a double bottom. That's what I'm watching for, because it shows here, generally speaking, that Litecoin is holding out here against Ethereum since back in February. It's retesting those lows, and volume has been picking up, right? So what I want to see here is holding here and breaking past these technical points of resistance, like this line of descending resistance. If it can hold there and pop up above there, as Ethereum maybe is selling off a little bit, maybe holding neutral, might even still be going up, I can bet in this case, as I'm looking clearly at the ratio, that Litecoin's outpacing Ethereum, and it has a perfect technical setup for it to continue that, right? I'll give another example of this, another one to keep in mind. Visago, right? This one's already doubled against Bitcoin in this case since we built a position in it, right? But outside of that, right? Visago itself is a layer 2 scaling solution. It's one of the, I would say, technically, I would say it's still probably a mid-cap play. I don't know if it's stepped over $10 billion in value, but it's one of those coins that the supply is fully diluted. It's a time-tested play in the space, and it's made some really parabolic moves in the past. And it's been having this really nice technical setup of setting up a double bottom, higher lows, higher highs, and it looks like it's building up for one of those momentum patterns. It's doing great against Bitcoin, but let's see how it's doing against Ethereum. Well, same exact case as Litecoin. Okay, back here, January, February, it's been holding neutral against Ethereum. It's had some higher ranges in this case, right? These are good signs to see that people are buying premiums against a well-performing asset like Ethereum. But broadly speaking, we're setting in these consistent lows. We're building a base in this case. We're consolidating, right? And when you have these consolidation periods, all right, and you can see here generally, like let me say go here, but this is still more of a decline. You can start to see that the sell side momentum starts to fade, right? And we start to build more of a base, and that's when the parabolic moves start to kick in. What we want to see here is that more and more as we sit sideways here, like we've done for the past few months against Ethereum, right? We're waiting for this to start kicking up and showcasing both the volume and the continued time-tested support that this is ready for a major move to outpace Ethereum, right? And there's like a lot of great news and developments here in regards to or I keep saying Visago, it's OMG Network now. My apologies, but OMG Network in this case, again, is one of those layer 2 plays that we've been talking about for some time to keep an eye on. As we saw the performance with plays like Matic, or otherwise known as Polygon, those kind of sidechain solutions. OMG Network in this case just launched OMG X and partnered with Inya. They're basically building, they're launching the testnet in this case, their implementation of optimism or optimistic rollups. So very excited to see, again, a lot of plays like this and stuff start to kick up with some exciting developments as the demand for these different types of altcoin sectors like layer 2 to reduce gas fees get more and more prominent as we get more and more retail traders and participants in the market. That's going to be one to watch. Outside of that as well, the broader DeFi space. Again, as we talked about with like plays like Uni, right? We were watching for a critical previous point of resistance acting as new support, right? We want to see Uni starting to outperform, just like any other play in this case. We want to start seeing it outperform Ethereum, right? And when you get at these discount ranges here, these previous ranges of support, we start to see reversal here, this is where it starts to get interesting, right? It's not enough yet for me to get too crazy about it. But I like seeing here that it's holding at previous points of resistance in the past and making it support. These are those ranges when you're starting to think here, and you have to think about smart money here. Right? Let's say someone who is on the right end in this case, usually probably someone in the know, someone with large sums of capital. They invested in Ethereum, they made great returns, and now they're thinking, I want to put it in something else. They're certainly not going to put it in Shiba Inu token or Dogecoin that's at all-time highs. What they're likely going to put it in is an asset that's at a 50% discount to Ethereum from its previous highs back a couple months ago. It's an important thing to keep in mind, right? And again, as an investor here, and I'll say this as someone who has a good sized allocation to Uni, I'm not finding myself 2 steps behind. I'm not going to go ahead and sell all my uni to Ethereum just because Ethereum is the top performer of today or this week or even this month. I'm waiting to spot if this is going to hold and make a trend reversal. Now, if things get bad enough, yeah, I might consolidate on my position, right? And I'll let you guys know about that in that case, right? I always try to keep as transparent as I can. But overall, I don't want to get caught 2 steps behind. More times than not, it hits you hard and it doesn't pay off. Right? So don't feel bad if you guys, again, weren't in the large caps in this case who have been leading the market, right? Who have been playing into the very predictable technical setups, who are some of the most well-known, easily tradable coins. I understand it doesn't make much sense because everyone expects something that's a smaller mid-cap to do much better. But in reality, we have to wait for the money flow cycle to progress. We have to wait for capital to go from fiat to Bitcoin, from Bitcoin to large caps, and then broadly into the mid-cap and small cap space. Until these players have their heyday, it's likely that we're not going to see those small and mid caps because people have to make money. They don't really have to, but it tends to be that people want to go make money on the large caps as the risk profile is a bit smaller, and they expand that risk profile as they keep winning and winning from the large caps to the mid caps to the small caps. Eventually, where you see the exit liquidity, you start to see the altcoin cycle fading off, comes to a close. All right, guys, so I rambled a decent amount today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you're someone who's gotten to this point in the video, I not only would ask, hopefully, that you could drop a like. It means a lot to me. But outside of that as well, if you haven't already, consider subscribing and also signing up for the Dash Report. We do monthly reports in this case where we provide a ton of kind of alpha, a lot of information on the market, some of our setups that we're engaging in or looking to engage in. You guys can track my real-time portfolio in this case, in the sense of percentage allocations. And outside of that as well, you've got great chat communities. In this case, we've got our Dash Report discussion group where you're able to join in, communicate with other community members. So it's not just alerts from me. You're able to talk to a lot of different people and get to exchange different ideas. But anyways, guys, again, even if you can or can't, it's perfectly fine. If you could just consider dropping a like and subscribing, as well as hitting the bell icon so you don't miss another video. It always means the world to me. So I hope you guys are doing well. I'll try to get out of your kitchen sometime today. I'm just kind of waiting for prices to keep going up a little bit more. Maybe if the altcoin cycle fades, then I'll take profits and I'll give you a little bit for the Airbnb here. All right. Anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everyone.